Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first episode of Organ Explorer. My name is Owen Sammons, and today I'm here at the beautiful Church of the Annunciation with Bonnie and Kevin Crump, and I'm so glad to be here. So sit back, relax, have your favorite beverage, and we'll tour the organ here in just a moment.
The Church of the Annunciation has been sitting right in the middle of downtown Paris for nearly 165 years. The organ is a 1923 George Kilgen Son organ, and next year will be its 100th birthday. This organ is a fully mechanical or tracker organ, trackers being the wooden dowels that make a direct connection from each key to valves that ultimately allow air into the pipes, so that the organist has a direct connection linking their fingers to the airflow. The action of this organ is light and really fun to play, where a lot of trackers from this era, especially similar builders, are particularly heavy, especially over the years. The only modern element of this organ is the blower itself. Everything else is tracker action.
So tell me a little bit about this beautiful instrument.
I know that this organ was, like I said, was installed in 1923. It's a George Kilgen Son organ. It was pretty mild when it was installed, I guess.
So yes. So Kevin just showed me a few images a moment ago, and the original stop list was basically a poof and a fluff, a lovely poof and a fluff. That Kilgen brand of poof and fluff, which is just silky smooth, but I can imagine that's about all it was. There wasn't a whole lot of real leadership from the organ.
Well, in those days in the Catholic Church, there wasn't a lot of bang up, music. It was a lot of motets and different things, chants and whatever, and hymns, but nothing big like we do now.
But this has been in the hands of Brad Rule, you said?
Yeah, since 1999. He did a renovation of this organ in 1999, complete. I mean, he took the whole thing out and back to his shop in Tennessee, and He redid everything. At that point we added a few stops, and the mixture was added a few years later. But the trumpet stop was added. We changed a few things around. He did put this coupler on. That's a 16-foot coupler from, I think, the swell to grade 16. And so.
And we'll explore that here in a minute with
Bonnie.
And
that was about 1999, 2000.
Okay.
And then just in 2020, we added some stops. We added an 8-foot violon to the pedal and a 16-foot trombone. We added a cymbal stern and just rearranged a few things with some of these toe studs and lockdowns and different
Fantastic.
things. And but it's really, I'm not a great organist at all. But I know what it is, and I know it sounds great.
Well, and I just from playing this organ a little bit, and you'll be able to hear it, it leads you. I feel that it has its own, and trackers do that. When trackers have a good touch, they tend to they tell you how they want to be played. And so we'll get to hear it here in a minute. This is a hidden gem in not just Paris, Kentucky, but in Kentucky in general. And everywhere. I think very few people are aware of how really stunning this acoustic and this organ are. So that's why I really wanted to come here for our first episode.
Well, and we're glad to have you. Thank you for choosing us.
Thank you. We're here at the console with Bonnie, and we have Kevin over to the side. He's going to give us some narration. But where would you like to begin?
Well, we can start with the swell.
Okay.
And the very top to the left. I think it's a harmonic flute.
So, and this is original?
This is original to the 1923 Kilgen. And Bonnie, you can just... Very nice sound there with that harmonic flute.
And can you add the stop diapason to that and hear?
Yeah, it's also a nice... And moving on, the next stop in the center to the top is the 8-foot trumpet. That is not original. That it was originally a Cornopian stop from, I don't know where it came from. Bradley Rule of B. Rule and Company found that somewhere and purchased that for us so we could have a reed stop, because this organ originally had no reeds at all in the original build.
If you can imagine. It was the perfect trumpet stop. And later, when we get to the chorus, you can hear that on top of the chorus. It's just magical.
Yeah, it was from that era that, like I say, the organ was in 1923, and he found that stop. It may even been older, a little bit. But anyway, the next one is the Vox Celeste. So that's what that kind of sounds like.
String and a flute, it's almost a diapason. Would you add there's a swell principle that is not original. Would you add that too? Yes. So Brad Rule here has created a chorus where there was none before, and it's quite lovely. Would you do something with that, with the swell open and close, just to hear how it? Yes. That's lovely. That's lovely. Let's see.
Okay, let's see. Where do we leave off? I think we've used a lot of the stops we're talking about.
I think we covered most of the swell. Yeah.
Yeah, that we've got the solutional, the stop diapason, and the principal. Mm-hmm. The principal being new. I mean, as far as when it was installed, it was new pipes.
Yes.
I'm not sure who the supplier was, but
and was that's from the 90s, from the 1999 or the 2020
yes,
or the 1999.
1999
Okay.
Renovation.
Fantastic.
And then the bottom stops over there is the pedal.
Okay, right to the pedal division.
Originally the only pedal stop was here was a 16-foot Borden. They call it a sub bass now. It's still there. It's original. We have added in the 2020 renovation. We added a 16-foot trombone, and we also added an 8-foot violon.
Yes, and they're all really nice.
Yeah, just give us a little sample there with that's the Borden, right, or the sub bass. That's the violon, and then last but not least, that's our 16-foot trombone, which
that's fantastic.
That was a real waker-upper when we had that installed and used it for the first time.
Oh, what gravitas! And from up here, I can imagine that's such a declaration.
Oh yeah, and on that stops over there where the pedals are, there used to be a tremolo stop that you just pulled just like the rest of them, but we had to have room for the pedal stop, so Brad put a hitch down at their toe stud, or whatever you want to call it.
A hitch down, yeah, it's fantastic.
To turn the tremolo on, and we use the tremolo occasionally, but you can go ahead and turn that on, Bonnie, and play something on the swell. It's a little noisy, as you can hear. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but you can hear the back there, and it's fast.
Yeah, it's probably less out there, but through our mics you can probably hear it.
Well, that's pretty much the left side of the organ,
Okay.
and the stops on this side are the couplers and the
Did you
brakes.
just reach for a cancel piston?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I do that all the time, and there's never one. Okay, sorry. This is so funny.
Yeah, she wouldn't know what to do with those if she did have them. Been playing this tracker for so many years. Bonnie's been playing for, let's see, since 1990.
Wow.
So she's working on 32 years. I've been a music director since 1989, and I was a choir member before that since 1972. So,
Oh, wow.
So I'm an old hat around here. But
You know how the trains run. Hey.
exactly. So
moving on to our great division here. So the original great division was just the open diapason, the Melodia, and wasn't there one
there
other
was a
style?
Dulciana and there was a Violina. There's four.
4-foot violina, so not much.
Not much. No 2-foots, no mixtures, no anything. And the mixture, like I said, that was done close to the 1999 renovation. He made space for it, but we didn't have the pipes until about 2 years later.
Okay.
So that was a little, it was already set up. We just had to put the pipes in, tune it, and do whatever.
Prepared for, that's what those PFs stand for.
Yeah.
All those stop lists that you see.
That's right.
Oh yeah, could we start with the Melodia? Because this is such a beautiful Melodia.
That's the Melodia. That's the 8-foot
beautiful.
Melodia there. And
Beautiful.
Ed Holloway and Sons organ, they put the octave in there, which we have a 4-foot octave, and then we have a 2-foot, I think it's called, is it a 15th? It's those were from a Henry Pilcher organ that Ed Holloway had connection to somewhere. It was an older organ, and we didn't have the 2-foots or a 4-foot over there, so he acquired that for us and put that in sometime in the 1980s.
In the 80s?
Yeah.
Let's build that chorus. So the open diapason, let's start there, because and you can. So I was noting to Kevin earlier, the open diapason on this instrument works with the Melodia, where some of them work against each other. This one they work together, but you don't have to use it. It just adds that bassiness. But here's the open diapason on the great.
So it's pretty
That's
full.
thrilling. That's a 1920s. Everybody's putting in that diapason. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful, and it sits so nicely on top of everything. And remember, to our viewers at home, that was the stop to lead singing, to lead anything. That was it. That was the most prominent stop on the organ. So let's build off of that and add the octave.
I tell you what, can we play just a hymn with using that to see how it kind of sounds like it would be when it was leading the singing?
Sure.
If you got something there, you can. We even have reverb now.
That's nice.
On our tour of the organ, before we even get inside the case, you're first greeted by the brand new pedal violon stop. This stop is really interesting in that the tops of the pipes themselves are tapered in a conical fashion. And what this does is it takes out some of the fundamental principal sound of the pipe and gives it a stringy, harmonic kind of sound. And when early pipe builders, or early organ builders rather, were discovering this, they labeled the pipes the names of strings. So this is the violon. Immediately inside the case and to the back, you'll see the brand new trombone stop. And what you see right here are the tuning wires. This allows the tuner to tune each individual reed stop without lengthening or shortening the resonators themselves, but this also allows them to not have to venture too far into the case itself to get to these reeds. And as you can see, they are pretty tightly packed, as they are not an original member of the pipe family here. Immediately behind the new trombone sits the pedal sub-bass, and this stop has been here for a good deal of time, doing its sole job of just undergirding the bass of this instrument and giving a solid foundation to the pedal division. Immediately in front of you, when you actually open the case, sits the solutional pipes, and these in particular are the bottom octave of the stop that is inside the swell box. And Kevin was telling me earlier that multiple stops actually shared the same bass pipes, and I would assume that the solutional was another one of those stops that did not have its own bass pipes, and at some point this was corrected. The bottom octave is on the outside of the swell box itself. Here is half of the bottom octave, and the other half of the octave is on the other side of the case. On the other side is the front of the case, And at the front of the case is the great division that is unenclosed or outside of the swell box. Right here in front of you is the great mixture, and you can see its multiple ranks of small, high-pitched pipes. Here you see the incredibly narrow walkway that the organ tuner has to precariously navigate to get to each individual pipe and make sure that they're all in tune. And from this walkway, the organ tuner can access both all of the great pipes, as you can see, and then behind them is the swell, and they can easily have access there as well. But again, you have to be a very compact individual or extremely light on your feet. Neither Kevin nor I were particularly keen on putting our large selves inside the case, so this is about as far in as I got. Here you can see part of the tracker action that directly connects the keys to the pipe's air supply. Here you can see a really fascinating addition to the organ. When Brad Rule was adding stops in 1999 into the swell, there simply was not enough room within the box, so he just added more to the swell box onto the back, and here you can see his handiwork. On the left side, you can see the large new reed resonators, and these are connected to those reeds with the tuning wires down at the bottom. And you can even see that they are outfitted with a mesh netting on the tops to prevent critters and debris if there's, particularly harsh wind or anything like that. You don't want things getting inside the pipe, so that's what that is. The blower for the organ actually sits above the organ in the steeple. The large cylindrical pipe carries air to the instrument, where the box here is the return air, so that the blower is never pulling air from outside, that it's just pulling air from right above the organ case.